So, what's behind this latest wave of, well, chaos and excitement? A huge part of it is this avalanche of updates coming out of Google, which we can basically think of as a whole new generation of Gemini. It isn't just one new thing, it's a flood of new capabilities all hitting us at once.
I mean, just look at the timeline here. The velocity is just staggering. In less than a single year, we've gone from some interesting updates to completely new ways of creating and thinking. We're talking powerful video creation, next-level image generation, and then something totally different called an agent. This relentless pace is exactly why it feels like we're living life in fast forward.
And here's the thing you really gotta get. This isn't just about a slightly smarter chatbot. The entire way we interact with AI is changing. We are literally moving from a simple command and response relationship, where AI is kind of like a calculator for words, to a truly collaborative one. It's more like having a whole team of digital assistants working with you on a project. Which brings us to this thing called the Gemini agent. This is a huge piece of the puzzle. It's a system that's built to handle complicated, multi-step projects from the very beginning all the way to the end. And that analogy of a digital chief of staff, it's perfect. It's not there to answer one-off questions. It's there to manage an entire workflow for you. And then you've got Canvas. Think of this as a creative playground where you and the AI can just build stuff together. You can literally describe an idea and it'll start spitting out web pages or infographics or even working app code. This is where this wild idea of vibe coding comes from. The ability to build something complex not by writing a single line of code, but just by having a conversation and describing the function you're going for.
Okay, that all sounds incredibly powerful. I get it. But what does it actually do in the real world? How does this stuff go from being some abstract tech concept to something that actually changes your day-to-day life?
So let's take a super simple example. You want to plan a weekend trip. Instead of opening 10 different tabs, you could just tell a Gemini agent to handle it. And it wouldn't just give you a list of flights. No, it would manage the entire thing. Find the flights and hotels, build you an itinerary based on what it knows you like, suggest some good restaurants, and then boom, put the whole thing right on your calendar for you. It connects all the dots automatically.
Now, to see the real-world impact, let's look at this story from a teacher. They had this project where they needed to create a giant glossary for their class, plus a bunch of exercises, all from a textbook.
Doing this the old way, manually, would have been an absolute nightmare. We're talking typing out every single term, every definition, organizing it all, creating worksheets. The teacher figured it would have taken a solid 25 hours of just tedious, mind-numbing work. But using these new AI tools, the whole process gets turned on its head. The teacher can now just have the AI scan the textbook, pull out all the terms, define them, and then generate all the classroom materials automatically. And the result? That entire project, the one that would have taken 25 hours, was done in just 3. 3 hours! That's not a small improvement. That's a revolution in productivity. It's 22 hours freed up to spend on actually teaching and connecting with students, instead of just prepping materials. That right there is the real-world impact. And of course, that kind of massive productivity boost leads us straight to the biggest, most hotly debated question of all. What in the world does this mean for our jobs? Are we looking at a revolution in how we work, or are we just staring down the barrel of mass redundancy? And the conversation is completely split down the middle. On one side, you have people who are convinced this is the end of white-collar work as we know it. They're pointing to real stories, people who have actually lost their jobs to AI. The logic is pretty straightforward. Companies will just be able to do way more with way fewer people. But then, on the other side, there's this incredible optimism, this idea that AI is going to empower billions of people to become creators and builders, inventing entirely new jobs at the intersection of AI and every other industry you can think of. But then you see a comment like this, and it just brings the whole conversation back down to earth. It's a great reminder that the future doesn't show up everywhere at the same time. While one industry is being totally transformed, another one might still be running on Excel spreadsheets and email. It really suggests there's this massive opportunity for people with tech skills to become, well, unicorns in industries that are years behind the curve. So if you were to take the temperature of the public right now, it's this really complicated mix. There is a lot of anxiety and fear out there, there's no denying it, but there's also a pretty solid dose of optimism about new opportunities, all mixed in with a healthy bit of skepticism about whether this tech can really deliver on its promises or its threats. Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important part of this whole story. The technology is one thing, but it's the human response to it that's going to decide what our future actually looks like.
So how do we adapt to this tsunami of change?
So let's come back to that amazing metaphor, surfing and tsunami with a butter knife. It just perfectly captures that feeling of being completely overwhelmed, of not having the right tools for the job. It's a good reminder that adapting to this is a huge challenge, and it is totally okay to feel that way.
And this is the absolute key. If the tools we use are changing every 6 months, then just learning the latest piece of software isn't going to cut it. As a long-term strategy, by the time you get good at it, it might already be on its way out.
Instead, the focus is shifting to what some people are calling meta skills. These are the things that last, the fundamentally human abilities. Things like adaptability, so you can roll with the punches; curiosity, so you never stop learning; critical thinking, so you know when the AI is wrong; pattern recognition, to see the big picture; and maybe most importantly, a low ego, being humble enough to admit what you don't know and being willing to learn from anyone or anything.
When you put it all together, what this really points to is a deep shift in our relationship with technology. We are moving away from the old model of commanding a tool to do a task, and we're moving towards a new model of collaborating with a partner on a project. And that kind of partnership requires a totally different mindset.
So as we wrap this up, the path for the technology is pretty clear. It's just going to get smarter and more capable, exponentially so. The real question, the one that's left for all of us, is a personal one. The AI is getting smarter. How will we,